Ryan Lochte is an absolute legend. He's a 12-time Olympic medalist, and in today's video, I'm going to do an in-depth stroke analysis on the long axis strokes. We're going to analyze his backstroke and his freestyle. I'm going to share with you what he's doing really well and what you can learn from that. I'm also going to share a few areas of improvement, and yes, everyone can improve, even a 12-time Olympic medalist. Let's go ahead and get right into it, looking at his backstroke technique. So we're going to pause the video numerous times. We're going to watch it in slow motion. And first, I actually want to go back to when he was swimming on the surface of the water. This is a great view to look at his hand entry. So I'm going to point out a few things. Right now, let's take a look at his hand. Remember, in backstroke, you want to enter the water with your pinky finger. You also want to exit the water with your thumb. So if you look at this hand down here, before it enters recovery phase, finishing the stroke, you're going to enter or exit the water with your thumb. Another thing I want you to look at is the hand positioning. And you want to think of this as the arms of the clock. You want to enter at 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. If you think about a clock, that's where you want to enter. There is the midsection of the body, and you don't want to enter at that midsection. You want to basically enter in the line of your shoulder, and that's what you can see represented by those yellow lines. So all of this is really good. And if we look at this from a different angle, you can see that his eyes are looking straight up. So basically he's looking at the sky. I think this is an outdoor pool where this was filmed, and his eyes are looking up. If you're in an indoor pool, you want to look at the ceiling. And what that does is it allows you to have a great body position. That body position is again signified. If you notice, my lines don't line up there, but pretty much when you have your eyes up and you're in a straight line, that is great. The final thing I want to look at before changing frames is his feet and his toes. His toes are pointed, and that's really important to increase your propulsion, but also decreasing your drag. So that's his backstroke from the top. And now we're going to look at it from an underwater perspective in slow motion. And you can see there his head position. I'm just going to go ahead and draw a line. So this is the line that intersects through his spine. Now you can see his head position, only half of his head is under the water. If you swim with poor head position and you're looking at your toes and you're not looking backwards at the sky, then your whole head is going to be out of water and you're actually not going to be able to see any of the swim cap. So it's actually really good that you can see part of the swim cap. His eyes are looking up at the sky. If we notice his pointing his toes, that's all really good. And you can see here, he's got a high elbow catch underneath the water. You can see, just like in freestyle, backstroke is a long axis stroke, and the benefit of having this high elbow catch, especially in freestyle and backstroke, is you pull the most water. What you're looking for is an EVF. That's an acronym that's short for early vertical forearm, and you can see that established really early in the stroke. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen so you can see this without anything on it. There's the pinky entering the water first, and you can see that high elbow catch. I'm going to pause it right there. That's a great shot to see exactly what I'm talking about. It looks a little awkward actually, because you know, you might think, how do I bend my arm like that? There we go, draw it a little bit better. It's almost like a right angle. So that's like a 90-degree angle. Right now it says 118, but you get what I'm saying. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to increase that surface area of your forearm. Remember, early vertical forearm. When we talk about freestyle in the second half of this video, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to clear the screen and go ahead and play it. There's another sky view. You can see the head position, good body rotation. You can see the hips are rotating to get into that early vertical forearm. And there again, slow motion. Now, well, we're not on freestyle yet. Hold on. One more thing I want to show you guys about rotation. So I want you to pay attention to his hips. Look at his hips as I scale back and forth on this video. You can see his hips are rotating. That rotation is critical in order to get into that high elbow catch. If you swim flat, like right here, you can see his body is flat. Look at his hips. That is flat. Now look at that same yellow line as I play forward. It no longer applies. It's hard to see it that way, but you can basically see that there is some level of rotation that starts with the hips, and the shoulders are rotating as well. You can see it from this angle, I think, a little bit better. Let's watch it right here underwater. You can see the hip rotation, high elbow catch, deeper catch, and that's really necessary. And before we go any further, I want to thank the Global Swim Series for sponsoring this video. They've got an epic event coming up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida from August 28th to September 3rd. Race the Legends. It starts with a 6-day training camp where you'll learn directly from some of swimming's biggest stars, including Ryan Lochte, Anthony Irvin, Cody Miller, Cullen Jones, Bruno Fratus, and more. On September 3rd, you'll finish with an epic open water race where you'll go head-to-head with all of those swimming legends. That's right, you could race Ryan Lochte. There's a 1 mile, a 5K option, and a half-mile race for the kids. This event is open to swimmers of all ages and abilities. So if you're looking for something to do this summer, definitely check it out. You can register at globalswimseries.com. We'll put that link in the description for you guys to check out. Should be an epic event. Now let's go ahead and look at Ryan Lochte's freestyle. We're gonna start over the water as well. Now I did mention we're gonna look at what he does really well and where he could potentially improve. So let's look at his over water freestyle catch. What we notice immediately is the hand entry. Look at that, entering the water with your middle finger first, right in front of the shoulder. So if you look at his shoulder line, that's where his shoulder is, and his fingertips are entering right there. His head position is great. I can barely see the top of his swim cap. That means his eyes are looking down. That's exactly what we want to see. Now I'm actually gonna go back a few frames and we're gonna look at some things that he's doing with his recovery, which is the phase of the stroke out of the water that I think he could potentially improve on. Now I have seen Ryan Lochte swim many times. I've been in the same lane with him. I've raced against him. He's beaten me by a lot. But what we need to look at is the recovery, and I've seen him swim differently at different points in the season and depending on the events that he's training for. So in this circumstance, what he has is an almost straight arm recovery. And if you notice, his arm is almost straight. We're gonna actually put some angles to this and you can see what it looks like. That's almost a straight arm. Now there is a rule, not a hard rule, but a rule in textbook freestyle technique, and it's at high elbow. And this applies both below and underneath the water as well, or below and above the water. So the rule simply states that your hand should always be below your elbow. Your elbow is always higher than your hand. Right now, his hand is clearly above his elbow. So that's something that you want to pay attention to, because if you swim with a straight arm like this, either above the water or below the water, you're putting more stress on your shoulder. You might see some sprint specialists swim with a straight arm recovery or even below the water, but that's a more power focused stroke. And for most people, especially if you're watching this video, you're probably focused on a high elbow catch, both above and below the water. So something to pay attention to. If you're thinking, well, what should it look like if it doesn't look like this? And I have seen Ryan Lochte swim with a high elbow catch. Basically, his arm would be the same from this point, the first part, and then after the elbow, his hand would be recovering like this. So his new hand position would actually be right there. Now it's no big deal. This is obviously for a video shoot, but we're gonna keep playing it and look at it from underneath the water. And then I have a bonus for you guys at the end of the video. We're gonna analyze something else that he's doing. So let's go ahead and look at this under the water. So if we pay attention to it, this is that high elbow catch right there. I'm drawing the line at the shoulder point, and then we're on the elbow, and that's the hand. And remember, what we're looking for is that early vertical forearm. That is EVF. And we can see it. That is right there. That's the forearm, and we want to get that vertical as early as possible. We can see that he's getting set up for the breath. His eyes are starting to rotate. He's going to catch that breath. That yellow line that I drew is basically the line of his shoulder, and you want to make sure you're entering right there. There is a line. I'm going to change the color for you guys. Let's go ahead and make it blue. So this is the midline of the body, roughly. You don't want to have your hand cross that midline. It's an imaginary line. Imagine if your fingertips cross over that. It's like a laser and it's going to chop your fingers off. If you notice, he's actually dangerously close. That's his hand. He's dangerously close to that line. You never want to cross that line above or below the water. And it often happens when you take a breath. So you can see his stroke is getting a little bit sloppy on the breath. As he's taking that breath, his hand is drifting over to compensate and try and balance. And that's why we do a lot of drills in the MySwimPro app, and here on the channel, we educate about the importance of swimming with a balanced stroke and why you do certain types of drills, whether it's 6-kick switch, 3 strokes, or 12 kicks. I'm gonna go ahead and clear the screen and continue watching this video. You can see his hand drifting over a little bit for balance, and then he's sweeping out. That is not ideal. So let's go final stroke before the flip turn. And you can see right here, this is another thing we want to pay attention to. There's the head position. If you notice, his head position is actually different than it was just a few frames ago. Now it looks like he's not looking down. Instead, he's looking forward. He's looking at the wall. Guess what, guys? We're all guilty of doing this at one point in our career. Even the best, Ryan Lochte, he's doing this for a video shoot. Maybe he's in an unfamiliar pool. But you know what? All pools have this T on the wall and also on the bottom of the pool. So if you look at the bottom of the pool, you're gonna spot that T, that cross, and that's gonna let you know when the wall is coming. So you don't have to worry about it. The wall's there, it's not going anywhere. So look at that beautiful black or blue line on the bottom. Keep your head position in check. You can also see the high elbow catch right there. This is a little bit late in the stroke. Let me actually rewind it just a few frames so you can see what that looks like. There's the fingertips. Fingertips have entered the water already. He's trying to drive his fingertips down to get that EVF position. I'm gonna go ahead and clear the screen. And there he is. He's trying to take the stroke, take the stroke, take the stroke. And there's the final stroke. Ooh, that's a good EVF right there. You can really see the angle. That's great. He's pulling a lot of water with all points, all the way from his fingertips, all the way through the elbow, and then through the arm. People don't realize it, but when you swim all the strokes, you can actually pull water through this entire area. I'm gonna undo that so you can see. You can pull water, all of this red that I'm highlighting. That's all surface area that you can pull. So when you focus on EVF, you're actually increasing the amount of surface area beyond just your hand. If you only pull with your hand, you've got that much. If you pull with your elbow down, you've got that much. And if you pull with your whole arm down, you can totally increase the surface area. Now, I did mention we have a surprise for you guys. We're gonna analyze one more thing with Ryan Lochte, and that is his flip turn. I've analyzed this before, but we're gonna do it anyway because it is great content. So the final thing that I wanna show you guys with his flip turn, he approaches the wall, he's looking at it, we already talked about it, he should be chin down. So at this point, you can actually use your head to drive momentum into the turn, because the idea is to get your body in a ball as small as possible. If you look at that blue box I just drew, a great flip turn, you'll fit your entire body inside of that box. Actually, wrong shape. You're trying to be a circle. Try and be a circle. So actually, let's see if we can leave this on the screen and see what happens. How does he fit in the circle? Oh, that's actually not a bad illustration. First try. Give it a like if you guys appreciate my acrobatics there. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip back to where we were. There's the turn. I'm gonna clear the screen. We're gonna watch it again in super slow motion. Now, one thing that I do criticize in my last video when I talked about this turn is what he's doing with his hands. Look at the hands. He's using his hands to actually accelerate the rotation. Now, this is good and bad. Let me explain why it's bad, and then I'll explain why it potentially is good. So someone of Ryan Lochte's level has the swimming ability, he has the flexibility, he has the vestibular awareness that he doesn't need to do this. He can leverage his own momentum, his head position, his core strength, and he can go through the flip turn with ease without using his hands at all. So this right here is basically a dependency to get through the turn. Now, you could make the argument this actually makes you turn faster. And if you watch the fastest swimmers in the world when they're doing the 100-meter dash, not 100-meter dash, but the 100-meter sprint, whether it's in a short course pool or long course, none of them are using their hands because it happens so fast. So instead, you want to focus on getting your hands into streamline to rocket off the wall. That is the most important thing. Now, because this turn looks like it's a slower turn, it's in practice, it's a video shoot, it looks like he's being a little soft, maybe a little bit lazy going into it because he knows I'm not going to grill him on this. But all things considered, it's a great turn, and why you might want to consider doing this if you're just learning how to do the flip turn and you're struggling to get yourself in that somersault and position your feet on the wall, you might want to use your hands. Otherwise, I say try and figure out how to use your momentum so that you don't use your hands to get you through the flip turn. It's all with your momentum into the wall, using your head, your core, flexing, and then getting into that nice tight ball. That should do it. So let's go ahead and finish this flip turn. He's coming into the wall. The feet are gonna plant, and right there he's gonna get into streamline. So this right here is a great position. If you can notice, his feet are gonna line up right on the wall. His toes are gonna be pointing to the ceiling, and he's gonna get himself into a good tight streamline. That's what you wanna get yourself into, the streamline, as soon as possible, so that way you can hit the streamline, lock it down, and push off the wall. So I'm gonna clear that. He's in streamline, and then he's gonna push off on his back, rotating onto his stomach, and then he can start the dolphin kicks to carry that momentum off the wall. And that's an analysis of Ryan Lochte's backstroke and freestyle. That's long axis. If you guys want the short axis version of it, or any other swimmer, let me know down below in the comments. And if you like this video, you're gonna love my analysis of Michael Phelps. That's right, I analyze his freestyle and his butterfly. He's the greatest swimmer of all time. No shade at Ryan Lochte, who's a 12-time Olympic medalist, but make sure you check out that video, and make sure you check out that global swim series, Race to Legends. Happy swimming and have a great day. Bye.